Hi everyone. Today I have two more, I guess, alternatives for the October 2019 paper pumpkin. This one I did kind of like a nighttime silhouette version, and then this would be daytime. And I will show you how I made them. And let's see, the inside of this one I embossed. It's just the sentiment from the stamp set. And then this one I just stamped in red with a bird. So we'll go ahead and do the nighttime version first. I do have some things pre-done today, and there is quite a bit of embossing. Like this nighttime version, I did the navy or Night of Navy cardstock, and then Night of Navy stars embossed. And then just the sentiment is also embossed, and then like I said, the inside as well. I already die cut the deer out also. There's our sentiment, and I just flagged that, but I haven't done that yet. I have my deer, and I better place all this off to the side because I've been making a mess with this embossing today. And I guess first I'll start off with the inside, and the one thing I'm using, what is it? It's the Ranger Navy embossing powder. I just ordered it off Amazon, and this one is pretty clingy. Like I have the Hero Arts White, which is what I've been using for all of my other cards, and that one's really not too bad. I mean, a little bit if I forget the powder, but the blue one's horrible. This thing's kind of messy, but go ahead and make sure I get that pretty good because like I said, it's been a bear. I have a scrap piece of paper that I'm going to lay down, which is just what I colored on the other day. First mark. Somehow I've been doing pretty good at keeping that pretty clean. And I'm just going to stamp one in the opposite corner, each opposite corner, and I'm kind of going off the page a little bit. Oops, not done with that. I'm going to try to get it straight. And I have another scrap. Here it is. I don't know if you can see how much blue powder is left on that, but this one's, it's really bad. It turns out well, it's just pretty clingy. And then it gets everywhere. I don't know how it gets everywhere, but it does. And I'll go ahead and turn my heat tool on and get that warming up. And I see some spots that didn't take so well, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And it still didn't, so I don't know. I do have a little pen, and like a Versamark pen, I think is what it is, that I could try that. And then I'm just going to clean off, because even though I use that embossing buddy, I still have some blue everywhere. I'm trying not to get the embossing powder blown around. I did make that mistake too already once today. I just wasn't thinking, and I went to go blow off the excess powder, and I blew this blue embossing powder everywhere. So that was fun. Alright, So I have that done. Whoops, I bumped the camera. I'm sorry. And trying to clean up some of this mess real quick, but I'm getting ready to do it again, so. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna try to fix that little spot real quick. And they're called Perfect pens. And it looks to me like you can use them for embossing. It came in two, and this came in a set with my heat tool, these two pens, and something else off of Amazon. Hopefully that works. Oh, it definitely stuck, so cool. Okay, let me just heat that real quick and we'll move on. Okay, so there's our inside. Get rid of these pins. Now for, I probably should close that. I hope I don't regret it. The background. And on this one, I didn't use any of the little snows. I just did the big stars. And I liked how it turned out. Like I said, it's kind of a nighttime, like, silhouette-ish scene, and I think it turned out pretty well. I do want to move around the placement of my stars, or snowflakes, a little bit. And I'm, making sure to stamp off and in the center where you're going to actually see them. And I'm also leaving it sit for a little bit when I stamp so that it soaks in, because I've noticed, I don't know if it's me or it's probably me, but when I don't and I pull up kind of quickish, it doesn't stick everywhere that it's supposed to stick. So, and since I stamped off, I'm actually going to flip this just so that I don't have embossing powder sticking to my scrap paper. And hopefully that all coats pretty well. Yeah, I'm just making a big old mess today. And I'm just checking. All of these look pretty good. Might be hard to see with the shadows, and I'm sorry, but they all look good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat tool on, which shouldn't take as long today. Or this time, sorry, not today. Duh. Just a little piece of paper. It's from when I flagged one of my sentiments on the daylight scene, we'll say. I'm almost done. I really like the way that the navy powder on the navy cardstock, it looks really pretty. It's not quite the same effect as black. It looks different, and I'll show you here in a minute. I'm almost finished. But I really like the way that turned out versus using some black embossing paper or embossing powder. And something else I thought about that would be really pretty too is, you know, copper or probably, I guess, silver for it to be more winterish. But yeah, I think that looks a lot better than using black. So that's that. And I think that's all the embossing for this. I'll do maybe a little bit more, well, not maybe. I have a little bit more embossing to do on the daytime scene card. Yeah, that stuff's just so clinging. I mean, it works. It gets the job done. I haven't used many different brands of embossing powder to tell if it's a brand thing or if it's just that powder. I'm honestly not sure. Close that up. And for my trees on this one, which I had them somewhere, I just glued this one straight down. Come on. Okay. Try not to rip them. And I've only seen one idea with the leftovers so far. That one's kind of hard because the middles are gone. Like, it doesn't leave a full silhouette, I don't think. And to those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. I can't say thank you enough. I think this YouTube thing's just going to be a long process, and I was really excited to get 3. Okay. And I have already pre-cut, or no, I didn't. I'm going to have to cut this one. So let me get my scrap paper back. Since I am using, or not using, but since I cut these down, my base to be 1/4 inch smaller, I have to cut my trees down. And all I'm doing is lining up the tops of the trees, which I might end up just having to cut, but... And I did leave all the branches loose because they pop up a little bit, and it still gives it some dimension and a little bit of realness to it. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, which this side's actually pretty good, but this side's sticking up some. And I'm just going to trim those down. And the same thing for the bottom. I'm just going to trim it down. My other ones are already done because I popped those up. I forgot about this one, to be honest. I wish I didn't because I used my trimmer on the other ones. And I really need to invest in a nice, a bigger pair of scissors. Okay. And then I also just glued this straight down to my card base. And I'm going to put a good bit on here because it is warped a little bit from the heat tool. Still have blue embossing powder everywhere. And I will go ahead and put my inside down as well. So this one, other than me fooling around with the embossing, was pretty quick to come together. It's pretty simple, not a lot of steps, and I think it's different and still seasonal, and I like it, obviously. I like the non-traditional Christmas cards, but I don't like them that are, you know, pink and purple. They look good. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody that's done them. Like, they turn out really well. It's just not my style, I guess is what I'm saying. For this, I'm just going to flag the ends. I don't have a punch. I wish I did. But, I learned from somebody, you know, you just do a little slice in the middle, and I like the shallower slice, opposed to going in deeper. Just, you know, I just did the tip of the scissors. Come on now. And I like the way that turns out better. You know, less of an angle, I guess, is what it does. Punch would be easier though, because sometimes I get flustered with it and then I don't like the way it looks and yada 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 and so on. And then I did pop this up, and this is just a mess up on the back. I smudged it somehow. And then I just tried to center it. Hopefully it's centered. My phone's in the way. Yeah, it's okay. And then I just glued the deer on, and we're done with this one. And you can see on this one, I tucked the one behind the tree a little bit, and I have the doe standing on the snow so that it looks like one's closer and one's further back. I don't think I'm going to get to do that with this one. So maybe if I just put him on top there. And her, I just kind of tucked over here and underneath this sentiment a little bit. And there we go. So there is my nighttime version, or silhouette scene, or whatever you want to call it, for my second alternative. And this is the one that I did first today, and I really liked that one. And then I thought, well, I can do a daytime version too. Because I went through and looked at my stamps, and the Dashing Deer set did have smaller deer. So I just cut out 2 of those, and obviously that's where I got the ones on the other card also. And this one, for my sentiment, I made a boo-boo and I forgot to stamp it before I popped it up. So I did try, and I don't know if you can see, but I have a little white layer where the sentiment is. Yeah, you can see it. That is covering up my boo-boo. And then I tried it again before I laid the card down, thinking that I could get it to stamp a little bit better. And it did. It stamped a lot better. There's just a couple little spots where I touched up with a red marker. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. And it'll be fine. So let me set all these pieces to the side, and I guess I'll finish going over this card. I did just white embossing this time, and then I did a layer, just like where a 16th is showing, of Poppy Parade. It matches the cardinals. I'm pretty sure it's the same color. And that's also, of course, what I did my sentiment in and the inside. And I used a white card base, and I think that one matches pretty well too. So the only embossing we have is on the blue with white. I'm just getting my scrap back, and let me rub her down. Done with that, and get my Versamark back, and my white, and my snowflake. Hopefully these videos aren't too, I don't know how to say, like, well, duh, we already knew that. I try to explain, and I guess I'm talking my way through it too. And then I'm like, okay, well, you know, obviously, duh. And I'm talking to myself when I say that, because at that point in time, then I'm like, you know, geez, why did you say that? They already know that. So, like I said, I'm still getting used to things. Just wipe off my stamp because I'm done with that now. And close that up. Like I said, fortunately, I've been able to keep this pretty clean. And does anybody like the Memento ink pads and the Versamark ink pads? I store them upside down just like the Stampin' Up! Ones. And like this Versamark pad, I haven't used it a whole lot. I've had it way longer than, I don't know, typically, I guess. Like I thought, oh yeah, I want to do some crafting. And I actually, the first time I used it was just for embossing in a scrapbook. And I was young and thought I wanted to do it, and I liked doing it, but I think I've said before, I've always kind of struggled with ideas. And I can probably flip through a couple of pages on my scrapbook. They're not the embossed ones. I don't have them in there. That was an old scrapbook. But anyway, and I don't have, they're not actually, I don't even know why I'm calling it a scrapbook, because I didn't use any scrap paper. But anyway, that's where I got started into crafting, was doing scrapbooking, and I really kind of fell in love with card making and all the cute stamps and all that. Let me just put this away real quick and I'll emboss on camera. This white powder does a lot better. I mean, it's hard to tell white on white, but it's a lot less clingy. And this one's the Hero Arts one. And it's also not as fine as that blue. That blue was a really fine powder, and I think that's why it sticks so much. You can, I don't know if you can tell, but my paper is already curled just from that little bit. But I just leave it sit. I don't move it around a whole lot. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just try to make sure I get everything. Because it's really easy with all these little spots to miss some. I've done it a couple times. I mean, caught it, but not noticing. And then I just take this and go along the back, and it straightens itself, whoops, back out. So now we're done with that. So then the next thing I'm going to do is not do like I did before and pop my trees up first. I'm going to glue this down first. I have a really bad habit of that. I'll work on the face of the card and forget that I want to put a layer and then have to go and glue lumps and bumps down. But, I mean, it works out. It's just, there's a better way to do it, I guess. Alright, and I will go ahead and glue this to my card front too, because same thing, popping something up on the front. It's taken me quite a lot of trial and error to remember that part. And since I've already done, I guess I need to do my stamping on my card base first in case I mess that up, so I will set that off to the side. I do use my grit a good bit on this craft mat. I have used it several times for making mesh wreaths, and it heals. It's like, I guess it's a self-healing mat. I mean, there's still some cuts, I think, from when my blade was like really new and I was probably using too much pressure. But other than that, I really like it. And then it's great for card making. And I've just opened up my Poppy Parade. And I'm going to move this down a little bit so I can, hopefully I'm still in frame, yeah. I did the last one a little crooked. So I was trying to avoid that on this one. And I'm just washing my stamp. The red does stain. I found, you know, obviously if you clean it off a lot quicker, it stains less. And then I just have a cardinal loaded on this little baby block. And I test stamped it because this ink pad's pretty juicy. And there we go. So now I can glue it all together. Seems like you mess up a lot more on camera, so better be safe than sorry. Alright, and then next I will peel my backings off, and I use the bennies that came with the kit again. I tried to keep everything from the kit, obviously, well, with the exception of the deer, everything else is from the kit. And I posted on the Paper Pumpkin fan club page the picture of my first alternate of this kit, and everybody seemed to really like it. And I got my inspiration from the box, and I was really kind of surprised that I hadn't seen a lot of that from other people. It's on the little advertisement page. I guess it's next month's box with the wood and the white, and even that mint would be really pretty. Like, I might do something with that, but that's where I got it from. I tried to stay off Pinterest, and I tried not to case other people's cards. Like, I think I've said that a couple times. I'm really trying to push myself and think outside of the box, because that is definitely my weak spot. And I know even in the directions they tell you to cut these mini dimensionals in half, and that is really a pain in the butt. And they're still kind of a little bit too thick, I think. So what I did, if I can find it, yeah. And I showed this in my other video too. I used a lot of the border. Like, this side here was really thick. This side here was really thick, and I just cut slices, so the backer obviously went with it. But this side over here was like a 1/2 inch. So I got all my tree strips from that, and I didn't have to cut down the mini dimensionals. And I'm trying to line up the bottom first, since that's my really only straight edge. And make sure I have it somewhat even. And there's that. And then I just have to glue down the deer and the birds, and that one's done too. So both of them, other than the embossing that take a good bit of time, were really simple. I close the glue, I open the glue. I think, oh crap, I need to remember to close that so it doesn't dry. And then the next thing I know, I need it again. And the same thing with before, I just kind of did one tucked in and behind, and then I put this other one in the front. And I just did 2 females this time. I really think some silver embossing would be really pretty, or maybe like rose gold if I could come up with something. Doesn't want to stay, so I'm going to have to hold it for a second. And then I have 2 birds. Oh yeah, here they are on the side. I've already, before I started filming, I was sweeping off my mat, and I put the 2 birds over there on the side so I wouldn't lose them. And then as soon as I was done sweeping off the mat, I swept off the table and swept my birds away. So then I had to go find them. Yeah, it's been a day. But anyway, like I was saying, I really do appreciate all the support. And, you know, I've had people, I'm going to case this, and, you know, that's great. I think, you know, casing people's cards is probably, somebody else said, you know, one of the biggest compliments. These little guys are so tiny. Whoops. Really need to invest in some tweezers too, I think. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much. And I don't expect to be like super popular or anything. I mean, if it went that way, that'd be great. But I really wanted to craft and make cards and find myself in a slump, and I always thought about, you know, I think I left the backer on. I'm gonna film one day and make videos, and I never, whoopsies. There we go. I don't know if I was afraid to make the jump or what. And, you know, of course I get nervous, you know, I don't want to get all tongue-tied and blah, 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 but whatever. So there's my cards. Here's the other 2 tonight. And, you know, there we go. So thank you again. I hope you like it. Please, you know, feel free. I guess it would help if I got them in frame. Sorry. Feel free to case. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching.